My cabin sits on the edge of one of the last great wildernesses we have left on our planet. It's a wilderness so vast and expansive, it's hard for the mind to comprehend just how much it entails. It's home to the tallest peaks in North America, the largest salmon runs left in the world, and an abundance of wildlife still unspoiled by man. Today we're setting off on an adventure from the front door of my cabin to explore this great wilderness and all that it has to offer. Come along for 3 days of winter camping, hundreds of miles of exploration, and a journey into the wild and untamed backcountry of Alaska. Alaska is an extremely cold place, and packing for a trip like this can be a daunting task. You want to go as light as you can, but if you were to forget something essential, it could be the difference between life and death. In addition to the winter survival gear, we were also hauling 20 gallons of fuel for our snow machines. Joining me on the adventure today is my good buddy Steve. He helped me build this cabin, and you probably remember him from some of my previous videos. Our journey began by following the historic IDOD Trail. This trail weaves thousands of miles across Alaska and provides access to bush cabins as well as the tiny villages that are scattered amongst the tundra. We were only 20 miles into the trail when we came upon our first roadblock.
We got a moose up here on the trail. We're just gonna try to scooch past him.
Bears are often considered the most dangerous animal in Alaska, but in reality, moose are the ones that you need to look out for. They outnumber bears 3 to 1 and are responsible for more attacks annually than grizzly bears and black bears combined.
Problem with moose is that they like to get on the trail with you, and then they'll decide to turn around on the trail and come mess up your day. So we're just gonna let this one move. Oh, we're gonna let them go all the way out of the way before we do anything. Yeah, you push a moose too far when the snow's deep and they get really aggressive. They know that they're trapped against predators, so the deeper the snow, the more aggressive the moose are. All right, we made it out to the major river system that we're gonna get on, and from here, we're gonna go find a trail that heads across the big river and goes out west. All right, so like I was saying, this is all just actually a massive river here, and it's all frozen up, big chunks of ice, so it's a really good time to be cautious and watch where you're going.
After crossing the bumps of the river, I decided to stop and check my load and make sure that everything was secure. And that's when it happened.
I think my recoil just broke. Or something. It's not going back in. See if we can get it come all the way out. Nope, it's not retracting. Nope, there we go. Yeah, that's not good. Oh no.
The recoils on these machines are notoriously finicky, and this wouldn't be the first time that a broken recoil has left me stranded.
Recoil doesn't want to go back in all of a sudden, so that's not good. We're pretty far out here already, and without the pull start, it gets tricky. So I'm gonna go talk to Steve, and we're gonna have to make a decision. I think my recoil just broke.
No way.
All right, well, we're gonna sit here and wait for the recoil to cool down a little bit. A lot of times, if they just get cold for some reason, they just start working again. This is a pretty big mission. We're going way out there with nothing but the tents and gear that we brought. It's not a good place to be going in when your sled's on the fritz. Getting out's one thing. You can always clutch start, but going in, that's not really a good plan. So anyway, we're gonna let it cool down, see if it starts working. Well, we let the clutch cool down a bit. We're gonna test it and see if it's working again, see if we can keep on the trail. It's recoiling. Well, it worked, but it for sure just snapped pretty bad when I hit it, so. Anyway, all right.
The prudent thing to do would have been to turn around, but I wasn't going to let the distinct possibility of my snow machine not starting ruin our adventure that we had just begun. So we continued on down the frozen river for another 50 miles until we turned off the trail and headed for the bogs.
All right, guys, we made it out off the river, and now we're out in the swamps, getting close to the lake that we're going to try to camp at. Check this out, this is cool. You can see all these tracks along these bushes. Those are all ptarmigan tracks. And ptarmigan are good eating. They're like an Alaskan chicken that hangs out in the tundra and up in the mountains. So maybe if we see a ptarmigan, we'll have to have some ptarmigan dinner. So these are big dead spruce trees, and they make really great firewood. We'll need some firewood because we brought a Arctic oven tent, which has a wood stove in it, and we're gonna hang out and set camp. And get camp set up, and first thing we're going to do is take the snowshoes and pack out a little area for the tent. Hey, you can see what a difference the snowshoes make. Before, you can't even walk in this stuff with them, you just float right on top. It's amazing.
If you happen to catch my last adventure video, you know that my Stihl chainsaw was giving me some problems. It turns out that the needle bearing on the clutch had gone bad, and I needed to replace it. While I was at it, I also replaced the bar, chain, spark plug, fuel filter, and air filter, and this chainsaw is running like it should once again.
Get that guy bucked up. Steve's getting started on the fire pit here, and a fire pit it is. You can build a fire right on the snow, but it just keeps melting down, so instead we're going to build ourselves a little chalet down there.
I want to take a second to let you know that all the music in my videos is original. It's written by me and my friend Forrest Wilson out at the cabin, and I have it for sale on my website at alaskacabinadventures.com. I also want to let you guys know about Steve's new channel. Him and his girlfriend Tess are starting their own homestead in the wilds of Alaska, building a cabin and starting a life. You can check him out at Home Sweet Home Alaska. I gotta say, these Arctic oven tents are pretty awesome. I've done my fair share of cold winter camping in Alaska, and it's not exactly what you call comfortable. These tents take a tiny wood stove, and once you get that thing started, it gets really warm in there really quick. Sleeping pad blown up here. It's kind of a cool sleeping pad. It's insulated and it has a hand pump built into it here. I'm a little afraid it's not going to be warm enough on the snow. I forgot to bring foam to put underneath it, so that's what it's going to be tonight.
Make sure we're stocked up for the night. I don't have to go looking for firewood in the middle of the night.
Got the wood stove there. Got my bed over here.
All right.
There we go.
Well, good morning. It was a bit of a rough night's sleep. Last night, right as I was getting ready for bed, my sleeping pad popped. Just popped. The seam completely came undone. Tried to glue it and tape it, and that didn't do anything. So Steve lent me his second little piece of thin bubble foam stuff here, but anyway, rough night. My back is shaped like a question mark now. No biggie, we stayed warm, and I'm gonna get some coffee going.
How'd you sleep, Steve?
Like a rock on a rock.
We kept the fire going pretty much all night. Let's see what we got going. We got some coals here. Oh yeah. Decided to go luxury on the coffee and bring a pour-over coffee maker and some nice ground coffee from the cabin. And for breakfast, we're doing some biscuits and gravy. Threw a big slab of butter in there as well. Why not? Steve's eating oatmeal like a real health nut.
Moment of truth here, and see if the machine will start up this morning. It's pretty cold. Just pull it out slow first. Let's get everything moving. All right, here we go. All right. Come on now. Yeah. That's a good feeling. All right, well, we're all loaded up and getting ready to head out. We're gonna leave all the heavy stuff and the sleds back here, keep camp set up, but there's no trail from here, so we're just gonna be route finding and kind of heading off through the swamps and the trees to try to make it to this really cool vantage point where you can see all the mountains in a 360 view. You can see like 3 or 4 different mountain ranges and see if we can go see some cool country and make it back in one piece. The old filling station.
We set off from camp with full gas tanks and nothing but what we could carry on our backs, which consisted of snacks, water, a shovel and a saw just in case the snow machines got stuck, and a couple of tools in case we broke down. I also carry a couple extra pieces of clothing with me whenever I'm out riding. I always have an extra set of gloves and a set of socks and one extra jacket. If you don't have those things and something goes wrong, you could be in a lot of trouble quickly. Your hands and feet are going to be the first thing to frostbite in an extreme situation, so it's nice to have a dry set of everything just in case you get wet.
We're making pretty good time.
Yep.
The trail is non-existent. See in front of us, it's just totally fresh snow. So Steve's been navigating for us with his GPS as we go. Clouds moved in a little bit, and the light's definitely pretty flat, so it's a lot harder to see the definition in the snow. Oh, there's big moose up here. Hey, Steve-O! Moose! Oh, there's a bunch more moose over there. Moose there too. Probably 3 or 4 moose right in front of us here. Like I was telling you guys earlier, a moose that is trying to wade through big snow can be very aggressive. They know that they're a lot more vulnerable to predators like wolves and coyotes. We got a moose on the left and a moose on the right, and a big steep creek crossing here that could be tricky to get through, so I'm gonna put the camera away. A lot of moose in this area. I just see another one over there. I can see 2, 3, 4 moose bedded down. You see all their ears sticking up? Luckily, we're going this way.
I found these fresh tracks. It looks like we got a pretty good sized wolf as looking at these strides and the paw marks here.
Oh yeah.
Nice fresh tracks. He's probably over here because there's a ton of moose right over here in this area. The animals will use the snow machine tracks to get around in the area, make it a lot easier for themselves, and it's basically like a hunting trail for them.
Like
here.
that. Oh yeah, and look at that. Fresh ptarmigan tracks right here. These little tracks going across. It's a tall tale sign of a game bird. Could be a grouse, but this area, I'm gonna guess ptarmigan because the mountains are right there, and this is just the kind of stuff that they'd hang out in. This is why you've got to be so careful out here. You can see right here, there's just open water with the creek running, and it's good and deep. And if you were to go through and get wet out here, you'd be in serious trouble. You'd have to get a fire started and get your clothes dry right away. If you're ever going through something that you think might break, the trick is to go fast. Try to keep your skis above it, and a lot of times you can power through even if the creek breaks out behind you. So,
After about 15 miles of weaving through the swamps, we started to gain elevation by heading up a ridge. This would lead us to our vantage point and a really cool lake that we wanted to try and explore as well. From here, the riding started to get a bit more technical, but lucky for us, the snow is in good shape, and we made it up the mountain with ease.
you can see all the way down to the valley floor where we just came from. We're already making some pretty good elevation. Steve's doing a great job route finding for us. He's just checking that GPS constantly, making sure we're on the route we want to go. All right, I'm going to show you guys probably my favorite trail snack. This smoked salmon strips. They're different than regular smoked salmon. That's like a kind of a cold smoke process, and they're still on the skin. And it's so good. It's like chewy and oily. Oh, so good. This is that salmon that I caught this summer when I went out dip netting. All the salmon I eat is all the salmon I catch. I don't eat any salmon that wasn't caught by me.
After a few more miles, we came to the lake that we were hoping to find. The snow up here was significantly better because we'd climbed about 1,000 or maybe 1,500 feet of elevation. The snow was just perfect for ripping around on the snow machines, so we took a minute to burn some fossil fuels and have a good time. For me, a snow machine is a tool before it's anything else. It's a tool to access the backcountry, remote cabins, explore. It's good for hauling wood and towing other supplies. But every once in a while, it goes from being a tool to a toy. And when the snow is this good, you just can't help but say Yahoo and grab a handful of throttle. Steve is probably the best snow machine rider I've ever met, but even the big dogs get stuck from time to time. And let me tell you what, getting your snow machine unstuck in 3 feet of powder is no easy task.
Underneath the snow, it's called overflow, which is water that makes it up on top of the ice in the lake. And this is not bad, but it can be super dangerous and eat your sled real quick.
After getting our fill of powder turns, we continued on up the mountain. We still had a vantage point to make it to, and we were hoping that we'd get a break in the clouds to get a view of the magnificent mountain ranges that surrounded us.
Picked up a branch.
We continued on up the mountain until the elevation started to level off. We found our vantage point and decided to take in the views. Unfortunately, the clouds had moved in, and we couldn't see the big mountains that surrounded us. But the view was incredible nonetheless, and we stopped to take in the enormity of the land that stretched out in front of us. we sat on that knoll, I thought about the suburbs that I grew up in, and the cities that I've been to, and I thought about what a stark contrast they stand into this incredible landscape, and I felt grateful. Grateful that the decisions I'd made in my life had led me to this point, and that there is still a place on Earth as wild and as free as Alaska. I thought about how important it is that we protect these wild and free places so that for generations to come, humans can still connect with the landscape that they came from. We could also see that there was weather on the horizon, and we decided it was time to start getting back to camp.
All right, guys, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a ptarmigan right there. And of course, I don't have my 22 with me because I forgot it. And I was just saying how I'm so glad we didn't see one because I forgot my gun. Anyway, it's cool to see him anyway. You probably can't see him. He's just a little white dot sitting there, but they rely on their camouflage and just hold completely still. There they go. Wow, 2 nice birds. Those would have made a good dinner, but that's all right.
The ride back was significantly quicker than the ride in, simply because we could follow our tracks back to camp. I stopped paying attention for 2 seconds and found myself in a precarious situation.
Sometimes there's a log underneath there. You gotta watch out for those stumps.
I want to show you guys something cool just stumbled upon. If you notice my hat, it's made out of beaver. Just wanted to show you guys we found some beaver tracks. And you can tell it's a beaver because of that big tube down the center of their belly, and their tail drags through the snow, and they leave these like sort of bobsled looking tunnels, and you can see their feet there. But what's really cool is that you can tell that this is the beaver dam. You can see holes down in the ice where he's going right there. And then behind me there's this obvious ledge, and the whole area, when you start to look at it, is kind of a creek, swampy looking creek that clearly has been stopped up by beaver dams. It's amazing when beavers get into an area how much they can change the geography of everything. Totally misdirect entire rivers, flood whole sections. They have great fur. This hat is amazingly warm. It's incredible. If it gets wet, you can just drop it down in the snow like this. Rub this guy in the snow. You see it's all in there, and just dust it right out. It's completely dry.
By the time we made it back to camp, we were cold, tired, and hungry. We had ridden about 70 miles today, and I couldn't wait to get a fire started and have something hot to eat.
Well, we made it back to camp, and that was pretty awesome. Steak on a stick. Steve was the one who first taught me about steak on a stick. And once you have it, you ain't never going back. The trick is to make sure that it's on your stick real good. What you don't want is the steak falling in the fire.
Also, make sure you use a green stick, not a dry stick.
Not a dry stick. Yeah, otherwise it'll just burn. Something like that. And you want a thin cut steak. You don't want a thick cut, because you're gonna sear it in the fire just as hot as it'll go. And even if it's a little past medium rare, it's still really good. I usually like mine medium rare, but when you sear it and the fire is really hot like that, it's just, oh, it just melts in your mouth. There we go. That's a good fire.
Oh.
Not ready?
Oh, that smells so good.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about right there. Steak on a stick. Perfect. All right, well, hoping that tonight's sleep is a little bit more restful and comfortable by getting my sleeping pad fixed. Told you guys it busted at the seam, and you can see right here, see right there, split in half. I tried to put some super glue on it last night, but it didn't hold. So what I'm gonna try this time is kind of covering the outside of it with super glue and then covering all that with this electrical tape. I'd say the chance that this will work is about 3%. But it's worth a shot, because last night was pretty miserable without a sleeping pad. Not only is it uncomfortable to sleep without a sleeping pad, but remember, we're sleeping right on the snow. And it's cold, so that cold air comes up. Even though we got a wood stove in here, heat rises. And so what you're laying on is just literally right on the snow, and it's just that whole underside of you feels cold. This is an insulated sleeping pad, so if I can get up off the ground, I'll be more comfortable and a whole lot more warm. Get some on the inside of it. What would work best here is something like Aqua Seal, which I normally always have with me for this exact reason. I always carry a patch kit for this, and on this particular trip, for some reason, I didn't bring it. This ain't gonna work. But what the heck? At least I can say I tried.
Our firewood stash wasn't completely empty, but it was definitely getting low. The last thing we needed was to run out of firewood in the middle of the night, and we wanted to have a big campfire tonight. So we dropped another tree, bucked it, split it, and stacked it up.
Well, I've been letting this cure up for a while, so I'm going to pump it up and see if it holds air by chance. Might hold a little bit of air at first, and then when I actually lay on it, it'll start deflating is my guess, but who knows, maybe I'll get lucky. Alright, well, it's holding air on its own accord. We'll see.
Steve is a salt of the earth kind of guy. I mean, he would literally take the shirt off his back and give it to someone he doesn't even know. I've seen him help strangers out more times than I can count, and I'm honored to call him my friend. That night we sat around the fire and talked about old times, sipping off the whiskey bottle. And if there's one other thing I know about Steve, is that if you get a little bit of whiskey into him, he gets a need for speed. So when he randomly stood up and headed for his snow machine, I knew exactly what he was up to.
Well, I could lie to you and say that that was a comfortable night's sleep. But it wasn't. It was really uncomfortable. That sleeping pad definitely didn't hold air. But wasn't so bad. Either way, we got some hot coffee going and some biscuits and gravy in the Mountain House meal. And we're going to get packed up here and ride back to the cabin. So I don't know what's going on here, but there's a big old shrew sitting in our vestibule here this morning. And I think he's dead, but I'm not sure. I don't know what's up with this guy.
We're all packed up and gonna hit the trail.
By the time we started the long ride home, the weather had moved in and the temperature had gone up significantly. It started to snow at first, but then that snow quickly turned to freezing rain. And freezing rain can cause a lot of problems. It gets onto your goggles and starts to ice them up so you can't hardly see. You have to stop and wipe them clean every couple minutes just so you don't run off the trail. The other problem is that it iced up all of my cameras and lenses, making it really difficult for me to film on the way back. Seeing the cabin come into view was a bittersweet moment. I was bummed that our awesome trip was over, but I sure was glad to have made it back in one piece, and I was really ready to get by a nice warm fire.
All right, made it home. All right, everybody, we are back. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks again for watching, everyone. If you want to support the channel, please check out my website at alaskacabinadventures.com. You can download the music for the channel, and you can also get some of the new merchandise that I have out. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you on the next episode.